This is Frank Ritchie, and you're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Frank, and I'm Randy Hansen. In world news headlines today, U.S. bank reaches $26 billion settlement for mortgage abuses. And out of Pakistan, Taliban leader among 4 killed in U.S. drone strike. And hundreds killed in Syria as Arab League monitors plan return. And Bahraini activists prepare for protest first anniversary. And Iraq vows crackdown on private military firms. And U.S. military scales back bases in Japan and Guam and seeks expanded presence in the Philippines. And House to vote on weakened ethics rules. And Santorum slams intolerance of evangelicals. And Romney rivals act like Democrats. And Gingrich warns Ohio voters of deadly Iranian nuclear weapon. And Washington set to back same-sex marriage. And 200 rally against fatal NYPD shooting of unarmed black teen. And civil rights activist Patricia Stevens-Dew dies at 72. GVTV News would like to say the views expressed by our news broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views of NCTV Digital Media Center. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News. In today's first world news story, 5 largest U.S. banks have agreed to a reported $26 billion settlement and resolve claims over abusive practices that forced scores of people from their homes and helped bring about the nation's financial meltdown. After months of talks with state and federal officials, banks reportedly agreed to help some 1 million homeowners reduce their mortgage debt and refinance their homes at lower rates. Another 750,000 people who have lost homes to foreclosures will receive $2,000. The deal would mark the largest civil action settlement for the housing industry, but would still only help a fraction of the struggling homeowners affected by the bank's practices. New York and California have signed off on a deal after initially holding it up in protest of lenient treatment of the banks. Settlement will reportedly preserve a lawsuit filed by the New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman. But the deal gives banks immunity from civil lawsuits from robo-signing, a practice whereby homeowners are rapidly evicted without proper vetting. Oh, but you don't expect them to follow the rules like everybody else, do you? At least 4 people have been killed in U.S. drone strikes in Pakistan, North Waziristan region, second in many days. Pakistani officials say the victims included Badar Mansour, a top militant leader of the Pakistani Taliban. The regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad continues to assault the flashpoint city of Homs on the 6th consecutive day. Residents say hundreds of people have been killed in a barrage of shellings and rocket attacks by Syrian forces. At the United Nations, Secretary Ban Ki-moon condemned the assault of Homs and said the Arab League is preparing to revive an observer mission to Syria. A lot of good that'll do. And he also said, yesterday I spoke with Arab League Secretary General Nabil al-Arabi how to end the killings and begin political negotiations. He informed me that he intends to send the Arab League observer mission back to Syria to help and asked for UN help. He further suggested we consider a joint observer mission in Syria, including a joint special envoy. With heavy weapons firing at civilian neighborhoods and homes, such violence is unacceptable before humanity. Activists in Bahrain are preparing to mark next week's one-year anniversary at the start of their protest against the U.S.-backed Sunni monarchy. At a rally this week, the Bahraini activist Nabil Rajab called for demonstrators to reoccupy the Pearl roundabout in the capital of Manama and said the right of expression, the right of hold gatherings, these are two rights the regime is trying to take away from us. I want to tell you that we should go to Manama, hold protests without permission to stand up to this government, maintain that this is one of our rights. We will not back down on these rights, especially when it comes to protesting at the Pearl roundabout. Iraqi government says it will impose new curbs on private military firms to slow what it has called a giant army threatening national sovereignty. Iraqi Deputy Interior Minister Adnan al-Assadi said scores of unlicensed weapons have been recovered in raids of companies' offices, and said what the Interior Ministry worries about is that there is a giant army of these companies on the streets with their weapons. It does not matter if these weapons are licensed. They pose a security risk that must be addressed in any way. The United States may be scaling back plans to build military bases in Japan and Guam due to financial and political pressure. In a deal announced Wednesday, the United States said it will hasten removal of 8,000 Marines from the island of Okinawa, where plans for a new U.S. military base have faced staunch resistance. Congress has also questioned the cost of the plan to relocate these Marines to Guam. Reuters is reporting the United States is seeking more access to ports and airfields in the Philippines in order to refuel service its warships and planes. And House lawmakers are expected to pass a watered-down version of the legislation banning inside trading in Congress. House Republican leader Eric Cantor has stripped the top trading on Congressional Knowledge Act, a stock act, of a rule that would have required political intelligence consultants to register in the same way as lobbyists. Democratic Representative Louise Slaughter of New York said the public needs to know about the consultants who, she said, glean information from members of Congress and staff and sell it to clients who make a lot of money off it. Republican presidential hopefuls returned to the campaign trail on Wednesday, one day after Rick Santorum's sudden resurgence with the three-state victory. Speaking in Texas, Santorum took a name of what he called progressive intolerance of evangelical Christians. He said, "This is the intolerance of the left, intolerance of the secular ideology. It is a religion unto itself. It is not just biblical-based religion, and it is most intolerant, just like we saw from the days of atheists in the Soviet Union. It's completely intolerant in dissent because they fear dissent. Why? Because dissent comes from folks who use common sense, real common sense, and divine revelation, no part of any of these things." Former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney is seeking to revive his campaign after losing to Santorum in Colorado, Minnesota, and Missouri. Speaking in Atlanta, Romney said both Santorum and Newt Gingrich had acted like Democrats while in political office. And he said Republicans spent too much money, borrowed too much money, earmarked too much money, and Rick Santorum and Newt Gingrich have to be held accountable. This is one of the reasons the Tea Party grew up, of course, is that people were unhappy about incumbents. People who had spent their careers in Washington borrowing, spending, and earmarking, and they said, look, we want to throw these guys out and that have been there too long and bring in some new faces. In this race, I'm the only guy that has spent time in Washington, hasn't spent time in Washington, Senator Santorum and Speaker Gingrich. They are very Republicans, the very Republicans that acted like Democrats. Newt Gingrich is campaigning in Ohio, in one of the states, to vote as part of the Super Tuesday next month. In a far-reaching comment, Gingrich invoked the possibility of a deadly Iranian nuclear attack on Ohio to stress the importance of U.S. manufacturing. And he said, you think about an Iranian nuclear weapon, you think about the dangers to Cleveland or to Columbus or to Cincinnati or New York. Remember what it felt like in 9/11 when 3,100 Americans were killed. Now imagine an attack where you add 2 zeros and it's 300,000 dead, maybe 500,000 wounded. This is real danger. This is not science fiction. That's why I think it's very important that we have the strongest possible national security. And so I wanted to come see how you manufacture, remind the news media and others manufacturing in America can be a dominant system in the world. Washington State is set to become the 7th state to legalize gay marriage following a vote in the State House. On Wednesday, Washington State lawmakers approved marriage equality legislation. A week after it was passed by the state Senate. Governor Christine Gregoria is expected to sign the measure into law next week. Washington vote came just a day after the U.S. Appeals Court ruled California's ban on same-sex marriage is unconstitutional. And more than 200 rallied in New York City on Wednesday to protest the police killing of an 18-year-old Ramarley Graham. Graham was shot at close range in his parents' apartment in the Bronx after being chased into the house by narcotic detectives. He was unarmed. Carlton Berkeley, a retired NYPD detective, criticized Police Commissioner Ray Kelly for skipping a meeting with the community members. Berkeley says the community was further angered that Kelly did not attend the meeting and addressed community residents directly. Carlton Berkeley said, "Hopefully the next time, the commissioner will show up if he wants to, extend his condolences to the family. He can do it face to face, but he also has to apologize to the community. One young man was killed, but there are thousands who have been mistreated, who have been abused and violated by the same police officers that took Ramarley Graham's life, and by some of the officers that brutally beat Jatake Reed." The civil rights activist Dr. Patricia Stevens Dew has died at the age of 72. Stevens took part in one of the civil rights movement's first ever jail-ins, where she and 4 others were arrested and sitting in Woolworth lunch counter in Tallahassee, Florida. And that's it for the World News today. Now we'd like to thank another one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter, and pictures in the blotter not from these actual events but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Tuesday, 7:15 a.m. A caller from 200 block of Arcadia Drive reported unlicensed children driving. At 8:46 a.m., a caller from 400 block of South Auburn Street reported an intoxicated woman fell headfirst onto the ground. She was transported to the emergency room. 9:52 a.m., a woman from 200 block of Mill Street reported theft of medication, money, and other items from a residence. And 1:14 p.m., a caller from 300 block of Pleasant Street reported a man vandalized items on Sunday. 2:53 p.m., a caller from 300 block of Railroad Avenue reported a check had been on a closed account in August. And 4:13 p.m., a caller from 2000 block of Nevada City Highway reported a man taking photos of vehicles in the parking lot on Thursday. 5:02 p.m., a person cited on suspicion of shoplifting in 100 block of West McKnight Way. At 7:56 p.m., a man from 200 block of Ocean Avenue reported items missing from a vehicle. 8:20 p.m., caller from 100 block of Mill Street reported 3 people causing a disturbance. A woman was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Tuesday. 10:13 a.m., caller from 11,000 block of Pleasant Valley Road reported a burglary to a restaurant. 11:54 a.m., a man reported youngsters robbed him of $20 and then robbed him of $40. It was found to have been a loan in a civil matter. 12:58 p.m., caller from 23,000 block of Green Valley Road reported theft of a UPS package from a porch. And 1:29 p.m., a woman from 11,000 block of Lake Wildwood Drive reported possible identity theft. And 2:08 p.m., a woman from 11,000 block of Spencefield Road reported her brother kicked her in the leg yesterday. And 2:35 p.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Travertine Court reported that 3 women showed up at a Super Bowl party and possibly took the caller's dog. Caller reported later in the day that the dog had been found and might have been hit by a car. 3:14 p.m., a man from 17,000 block of Highway 174 reported interrupting a possible attempted burglary to his residence. The suspects could not be located. And 4:23 p.m., caller from 12,000 block of Banner Lava Cap Road reported being struck with crutches and a cane. No medical attention was needed. And 8:12 p.m., caller from 17,000 block of Penn Valley Drive reported a man taking pieces of paper and setting them on fire. He could not be located. And 11:33 p.m., a woman from 10,000 block of Melody Road reported a burglary to her vehicle last night. And Nevada City Police Department on Tuesday, 2:21 p.m., caller from Commercial on North Pine Street reported more marijuana smokers than normal hang out at the boardwalk. No one was found to be smoking marijuana. And that's it for the police blotter today. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. Really? It is us, isn't it? GVTV News. In local news headlines, probationer arrested after hit and run. And man arrested after allegedly holding gun to wife's head. And alleged patch pirates miss court dates. And legal troubles for dog slatery. In today's first local story, written by Liz Keller of the Union, a probationer who has just been returned to Nevada County for post-release community supervision under the new prison realignment rules, is in custody in county jail after allegedly leaving the scene of an accident when cutting off his ankle monitoring bracelet. Henry Patrick Lillyquist, 28, had been released Friday after serving a sentence for vehicle theft, said Nevada County Deputy Probation Officer Pamela LaFountain. As part of the supervision rules, he had been fitted with an ankle monitor which he was supposed to wear for 14 days. Lillyquist was driving a Honda Passport too quickly on Broad Street and turned left on South Pine Street when he hit the wall of a store at about 2 p.m. Tuesday, said Nevada City Police Lieutenant Lauren Gage. He left the scene and the vehicle was located by officers, but he was gone. Lillyquist then allegedly went into the backyard of a residence in Orchard Street, used to set up loppers to cut off his ankle bracelet. He eventually called and turned himself in. He appeared to have been drinking, but we couldn't place him in the vehicle. Lillyquist was charged with violating post-release community supervision and hit and run, and was being held in county jail without bail. In another Liz Keller story, a San Juan Ridge man remains in custody after allegedly holding a gun to his wife's head and threatened to kill her. A 65-year-old woman called 911 just before midnight Tuesday to report that her husband, Gregory Case, 52, had assaulted her in their residence in the 26,000 block of Highway 49. She said that he had been drinking all day and had been very, very verbally abusive, said Nevada County Sheriff Captain Jeff Powell. He got into it with his wife and pushed her, Powell said. Then he pointed a gun at her and threatened to kill her. Case then went into the bedroom and locked the door and was moving rifles around. The woman was advised to leave the residence and wait outside for a deputy to arrive, which she did. Case was arrested on suspicion of making criminal threats, spousal abuse, and abuse of a dependent adult. Powell said, adding that his wife has had a brain aneurysm. His bail was set at $10,750. And in another Liz Keller story, 2 Reno men arrested for allegedly trying to steal a medical marijuana crop in North San Juan Ridge are being sought on bench warrants after failing to appear in recent court appearances. Bruce Christopher Hart, 40, and Robert Harold Tensel, 49, were arrested in October after a homeowner discovered the men on his property. The man told the Union at the time that he first saw their car, which contained pruning shears, bolt cutters, and a backpack and a ski mask. His German Shepherd fleshed out both suspects, both of whom had pruning shears on them, the homeowner said. Hart was charged with possession of burglary tools, failure to appear for court appearance on November 16th. Tensel was charged with possession of burglary tools, possession of controlled substance, and being under the influence of a controlled substance. He failed to appear for 2 separate court appearances, and a warrant was issued for his arrest December 21st. And in other court news, a man arrested in Grass Valley on drug and stolen property charges failed to appear for a court appearance, and a bench warrant was issued. Edwin Gene Boyce, 33, was arrested in November after Grass Valley police officers heard an argument in a parking lot. Boyce was on probation with search terms and allegedly was found with methamphetamine, marijuana, and prescription medication, drug paraphernalia, and a laptop that matched one reported as stolen from a business 2 weeks earlier. He was charged with possession of stolen property, possession of controlled substance, possession of a controlled substance without a prescription, and possession of drug paraphernalia and hypodermic needles. He pleaded no contest to possession of controlled substances and possession of controlled substance without a prescription on January 4th and was set for an assessment for drug court, but he failed to appear for a hearing on January 23rd, according to court records. In our last Liz Keller story, Shane Slattery and his wife, girlfriend, Heather Giroux, were lauded as heroes by many after their efforts to clean up Grass Valley's homeless camp that was reported in the Union earlier story. And they did a good job. A couple became local celebrities of a sort, some buying them meals and others sending them thank you letters. But that celebrity also had a darker side, as readers pointed out, their checkered past, including drug addiction and run-ins with the law. Although the past appears to be catching up to Slattery, he insisted he remained clean and sober. I'm not trying to hide anything from anyone, he said. I'm going out this weekend and cleaning up more camps and more illegal dump sites, and that's out of my own pocket. Bench warrant was recently issued for Slattery after he failed to appear on a misdemeanor charge of stolen property, being under the influence of controlled substance. Complaint was filed December 27th, although the incident itself allegedly occurred in March. Slattery did not show up for court appearance in that case on January 23rd, and a bench warrant was issued at the time. Slattery said he had purchased a motorcycle that turned out to have been stolen and had it in the back of his father's truck when he was arrested. It was an older bike, and the guy said he didn't have any paperwork on it. He said it hadn't been registered for years, Slattery said. I didn't think much of it, but I was in the midst of my addiction back then. I wouldn't do that now. Slattery said he was not aware that a complaint had been filed by the district attorney's office on that case, and in fact he was in court on a separate case less than 2 weeks later, appearing on a charge of vehicle theft. He said he was appointed a public defender and is set to come back in court on February 16th. That complaint was filed on December 2nd, involved a truck that Slattery allegedly took February 1st to August 26, 2011. According to Slattery, the allegation that he stole the truck is completely a misunderstanding. The owner had moved to Costa Rica and left the truck behind with a friend who gave Slattery permission to use the truck to make trash runs. The truck then broke down while he was on a trash run, and he had it towed. I tried to contact the owner, but I didn't have a good number for him. He said, I ended up cutting it up for scrap. I intended to pay him the cash or find him another truck, but I was never able to get a hold of him. The owner ended up filing a police report, but has since died, Slattery said. I completely changed my life around, Slattery said. I was convicted in 2003 of burglary, but I got that dismissed because I've been doing so good, and that was my past. I'm moving forward. Well, I think he's doing a good job out there. Give him a chance. That's it for local news today. Now we'd like to thank the Union, Amy Goodman, Reuters, Associated Press, and others for the sourcing of news, and you for watching. You can watch this broadcast, Comcast Cable, NCTV, Channel 11, Nevada County, 8 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, Southern Link, Channel 16 in Truckee and Alta Sierra. We also are streamed on the internet, NCTV's Digital Media Center website, at NevadaCountyTV.org and GVTV.org. And don't forget Grass Valley Television that plays 24/7 on the net, GrassValleyTelevision.com. We post to Facebook, YouTube, Blip.tv, and many other pod sites and other types of sites, and RSS feed and video podcast on iTunes. Just search under video podcast for GVTV News. Content is controlled by the producer of this newscast, me, and Grass Valley Television. It is not necessarily the opinion of me or Grass Valley Television or NCTV Digital Media Center. Grass Valley Television also videotapes local events around Nevada County. If you have a need for video, you can contact us for more info. GrassValleyTelevision@gmail.com or 362-8889. The show produced by Grass Valley Television of Rural Counties Television Network. Hope you have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you again on Monday. Christopher's Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food and service downtown Grass Valley. Do you like desserts? They got them. You like international style lunches? They got them. Christopher's Deli and Catering for parties, get-togethers, weddings, or whatever. Open 7 days a week. Bellstar Shop is a one-of-a-kind place you will find on the Ridge. Steaming hot coffee and a cool atmosphere with healthy food, organic desserts, and meals available. Belle and her smile will not be forgotten the first time you visit. Grass